What's going on, guys, and welcome to Who to Sign For. Now in this series I'm giving you my recommendations on what players to sign for a specific team in career mode, but before we go on I will say that the signings you'll see aren't designed to be realistic and the player ratings and potentials may vary depending on what database you're using and how they perform for you during the season. You don't have to follow all the tips, this is really just a set of guidelines to give you a hand if you're stuck for ideas and want some suggestions on what players you could sign for a certain club. This is mainly aimed at those of you out there who may be new to the game and just want some help, or for those of you out there who may just be stuck for ideas on what players you could sign for a certain team in career mode. So yes, we are back today with another episode of Who to Sign For, guys, and we're going to take a look at the Serie A side, Inter Milan. Yes, Inter playing at the San Siro, sharing the stadium with their rivals Milan, and we are going to take a look at who to sign for Stefano Pioli's side. Now Inter are a 4.5 star team. They have a £34 million budget, or around £34 million. I think it's £33.9 million. That extra 100 grand makes all the difference, but it's around £34 million. And their on-the-pitch objectives in the first season are these three as follows. To win the Serie A, so win the league title, win the Europa League, and also reach the Coppa Italia quarterfinals as well. Now, you might be wondering about the European competition with Inter. Of course, this year in real life, playing in the Europa League. You may have noticed as I was setting up the game, when you draw the European competition in the first season with seeded teams, for some reason, Inter don't go into the groups at all. Of course, we know that's not true. This year, of course, being in the Europa League, they were drawing in Southampton's group, if I remember correctly. They are in the Europa League, but for some reason, when you draw seeded teams, they don't go in. I don't know why that is, but to put Inter in the Europa League, all you got to do is draw them with seeded teams, find an Italian team, then press triangle on PS4 and search for Inter in the Serie A, and put them in the Europa League. I took out Sassuolo and put Inter in like that. But yeah, I don't know why they're not in it originally. If anyone can tell me why, I would appreciate it very much, because clearly I don't know. But anyway, their team is a 4.5 star team, and again, those aims are pretty strong. You know, to win the Serie A, to outmuscle Juventus for the first time in years, that's going to take some doing, and to win the Europa League as well. Very, very tough. The Coppa Italia quarterfinals, that's easy enough, or at least I would say. But the league and the European objectives, very, very strong. But having said that, their team is quite good. You saw the squad report there, and this is how the team set up as well in a 4-2-3-1 narrow. It is a really decent team, some very decent players in there, and of course Mauro Icardi, the captain, as the striker, one of the players you sort of want to build a team around, really. Very, very good side. They've got a lot of players loaned out as well. I'd recommend recalling 3 players from loan, Erkin, Jovetic, and also Bardi as well. You can pick and choose who you want to recall, but personally speaking, I'd say there's only one player you definitely have to recall, and that is Jovetic. There's no point in keeping Jovetic out there right now. You may as well bring him back to the San Siro, as it'll cost you about $1 million to do that, but he's just too good to leave out on loan when he's in his mid-20s right now and already 80 overall. And as for players with their deals that come at the end of the year, lots of players only have 1 year left in their contract. Of course, probably the main one would be Rodrigo Palacio. I would say give 3 players new contracts, let Palacio go, but extend the contracts of Safir Taider, Francesco Bardi, and also Nukori. Is that how you pronounce that? Not entirely sure. Nukori and Bardi both have 81 potential, and Taider has 80 potential. So I'll give those guys new deals, but you can let everyone else go, personally speaking. You might possibly give Di Gennaro a new deal, a young goalkeeper out on loan right now. He's got 77 potential, but I would say, personally speaking, he's probably never going to be anything other than a backup goalkeeper for you, second or third choice. I'd just let him go, personally speaking, and look to buy another goalkeeper instead. But as for new signings with Inter Milan, that's why you come to these videos. Who would I recommend bringing to the San Siro to join up with Inter? Well, you would have seen their lineup. The weakest area, in my opinion, appears to be the right back area, and that's why I go in search of a new right back. Funny that, right? And the player I recommend is this guy right here, Hector Bellerin from Arsenal. He's only 21 years old, already 80 overall. And in the latest database, I do believe he's now got 88 for potential. This guy will become one of the best right backs in the game at his peak. And he's already a really great right back now, just 21 years old. So this guy is going to go into the first team, take out D'Ambrosio and also David Santon as well. And of course, if you're going to buy Bellerin, you won't need 3 right backs, Santon, Ambrosio and Bellerin too. So I'd recommend selling the oldest one, D'Ambrosio, 27 years old, 75 overall. He'd also be the weakest of the 3 right backs as well. So I'd recommend selling him for anything you can get, as Bernie also goes to Pisa here as well. This goalkeeper, by the way, used to be glitched. Funny enough, I was recording this episode. I just remembered that goalkeeper there, you guys asked me in my Torino Cremo to sign him. You kept on saying he was glitched. He grows to like 88 overall or something. I was like, no, he doesn't. Stop being stupid. I signed him. And you guys were right. That was so funny back in FIFA 15. I still remember that. That was really funny. But anyway, yeah, Bellerin, a really, really good right back. Already 80 overall. And again, he'll go straight in the first 11. You'll throw him straight into the first team. He'll improve the team. And again, at just 21 years old, he would be a really, really great signing for the future and for now as well. And of course, with 88 potential, you're not going to turn that down. So you'll probably have to spend a little bit over his valuation. He's valued at £15.5 million. You probably have to spend around £18 to £22 million. I got that smack bang in the middle at £20 million. But I'd say he's definitely worth it. He's got really, really quick stats, 96 acceleration, 94 sprint speed. Also, an underrated stat in a fullback that a lot of people don't look for, but they really should, as one of the most important ones, is the stamina. Already 84. That's really, really important because fullbacks get up and down the pitch all game long. And I'd say he's the #1 target for a new right back for Inter Milan. But as for new signings after signing Hector Bellerin, I'd also recommend the CB area as well. Now, you're going to sell on one of your centre-backs, Andrioli, who has his deal up come the end of the year. He's a bench centre-back right now. They got Murillo, they got Miranda, but you want someone new for the bench, and I recommend this guy right here, Ruben Semedo, 79 overall centre-back, currently playing for Sporting right now. One of the unique type of centre-backs that has a flair trait. If anyone could tell me why that is, I'd love to know. But Ruben Semedo has the flair trait. Not really the most important trait for a centre-back, but pretty cool, right? And a very, very good player already with 86 potential as well. Now, you can get him for around his valuation, which is £10.5 million. And one thing you'll notice with Portuguese league players in career mode as well is that their salaries are really, really low. Right now, he's on 12.5 grand a week with Sporting, and he'll only want 20 grand a week on a 5-year deal as well if you're to bring him to the San Siro. Now, that's nothing, really. Let's be honest here. For a player that's already 79 overall and has 86 potential as well, 20 grand a week at full potential is going to be absolutely nothing. So, Ruben Semedo, definitely a player I'd recommend bringing in. Also, possibly Nilsson Lindelof as well, playing for Benfica. Similar overall, similar potential. In fact, identical overall potential as well, and around the same cost too. But in this save, he went somewhere else, so I couldn't buy him. But still, a really good player, and definitely worth bringing in as a backup, third-choice centre-back that eventually could take over from Miranda as well as one of your first choices. And you may have noticed there as well, I sold Rodrigo Palacio too, as I'd recommend getting rid of the Argentine striker. Now, as for other sales as well, I'd also recommend selling this guy, Juan Pablo Carrizo, to Sassuolo, or whatever club comes in for him. He's valued at £2.6 million, 32 years old, 75 overall, a decent goalkeeper, but he has his deal at come the end of the year, and that's why you should recall Bardi. He is the second choice goalkeeper for Inter right now in the game, but I would recommend selling him and bringing back Bardi because it just makes more sense. Bardi is younger, he's 1 overall better as well, and it will cost you less to bring back Bardi, and you'll get more for selling Carrizo, so it just makes perfect sense to do that and do it that way. And as for new signings, I made 2 more signings with Inter after those first 2, Bellerin and Semedo as well. I bought in Federico Bernardeschi from Fiorentina. Funny enough, talking about my Torino career mode, another player who I had in my Torino career mode. He's 22 years old, valued at valued at £19.5 million, 81 overall. But this is a really, really great winger. Bernardeschi, the Italian, has 87 potential, as we also sell Andrioli here as well. Hence why I bought in Semedo too. He's got 87 potential, Bernardeschi, some really, really great stats. And with Inter playing in the 4-2-3-1 narrow, this guy can also play, is it cam or centre forward? One of the two. But anyway, this guy will be just as effective playing through the middle as well as out wide as well. And that's ideal for a team playing in a 4-2-3-1 narrow. Knowing that you can put this guy on the wide area of those that supporting trio, supporting Mauro Icardi, or through the middle where Benega's playing right now. Either way, he'll still be a real handful for opposition defenders. He's got some great stats already at just 22 years old, and again, gross 6 ratings, get to 87 at his peak. He would be a really great signing, and as I always say, signing players that come from the same nation as the club is something which I really like to do. I've got a whole series called that, called Club and Country, but it's just something I like to do. But yeah, really, really great player, and it'll cost you a little bit of money. It cost me £28 million. That's the most I spent on one player in this episode, but you'll see his stats in just a moment. He's worth every single penny. This is a great player. You know, look at those stats right there. 87 ball control, 86 dribbling, 82 long shots. Love that as well. 82 stamina, 83 for acceleration and sprint speed, and 4-star skill moves as well. Definitely worth bringing in, and my personal recommendation is to keep Banega where he is playing cam and play him on the right side of that attacking midfield trio, taking out Candrava and pushing him, who's 7 years older at 29, to the bench. But my fourth and final signing ended up being this guy as well, another Italian player currently playing for Torino right now. Funny enough, the player that I signed in my who to sign for Ajax, Antonio Barreca, left back, quite young, 22 years old. I kind of messed up here, didn't have a full scout report on the guy, so I ended up paying a little bit more than I probably would have done so. But I spent £4 million plus Nagatomo on the guy. Obviously, once you've recalled Erkin and you've got Ansaldi as well, those two are going to be your first and second choice left backs in the first season. But Nagatomo, you're not going to need a Japanese left back. He's been there for a few years, but he's not going to get any better. I'd recommend giving him to Torino if you can't sell him, which I couldn't, and also sort of using him to sweeten the deal, if you will, to not pay as much for Barreca as you might have done. So I paid £4 million plus the Japanese fullback for Barreca, and I would say he's a younger player that's one overall rated less. Nagatomo 75 overall, Barreca is 74, but Barreca has 85 potential, and he is your long-term successor for Ansaldi or Erkin in that left-back role. And if you want, you can throw him into the first team straight away and try and maximise his development. But he's got some great stats already, just 21 years old, sorry, not 22 years old. Very decent stats already, including high stamina as well. A great player and definitely worth bringing in, and you'll probably get him a little bit cheaper than I did as well. I kind of overspent there, but I'd still say he's worth around $4 million plus Nagatomo if that's all you could do. So in the end, I spent £62.5 million on 4 new players, but I would say all 4 of which would be great signings for Inter Milan. You are reducing the average age of the squad, you're bringing in good young talents for the future, and the team would look like this going into the first season. You see Bernardeschi there slotting in alongside Banega and Perisic as part of that supporting trio. Bellerin at right back, Semedo on the bench for now, and also of course Barreca too in the resis as well. We simulate to the end of the season to see how Inter would get on. Once again, a reminder of their aims. They were supposed to win the league title, win the Europa League, and reach the Coppa Nazionale quarterfinals. Well, they didn't win the league title. That was always going to be really tough with Juventus having such a strong hold of the Serie A right now in Italy. But it wasn't Juventus who won the title either, so that was typical, right? The one year where Juventus don't win the title, and sadly I couldn't do it. Inter finished in second place, 1 point behind the eventual winners Roma, so I failed the league objective. However, we exceeded the cup objective. Instead of reaching the quarterfinals, we went all the way and won it, so that's fantastic. Domestic success in the cup for the first time in a few years for Inter as well. That's fantastic. And also as well, they won the Europa League too, being Jose Mourinho's Manchester United in the final. And of course, back in the day, Jose Mourinho was the manager of Inter. He led them to a Serie A title and a Champions League back in 2009-2010, and I found it kind of interesting that we got revenge on him in this final and won the Europa League as well as the Coppa Nazionale as well. So 2 trophies for Inter in the first season, and despite failing the league objective, I would still say that is a really, really successful first season at the San Siro. As I always say, the league objective is always considered the most important one, or seemingly so, of the on-the-pitch objectives for the board. However, I would say personally, that's a really great debut year. 2 trophies right there. Inter, of course, haven't won too much in recent years, so already you'll be bringing back silverware to the San Siro. And I would definitely say as well, for a closing statement on this team, this would be a really, really fun team to do a career mode with. I wouldn't call them a fallen giant, they're more like a sleeping giant, really. Again, a 4.5-star team who haven't really been hitting the heights they once did a few years ago, like the treble-winning season with Inter, with Mourinho, I should say, back in 2009, 2010. They would be a really, really fun team to do a career mode with. They just need a little bit of TLC to bring them back to what they once were, I should say. And there were the signings you make as well. I'm confident that in a few years' time, you wouldn't just be winning Europa League titles, but also Champions League titles as well, as continuing to battle with Juventus for domestic trophies in the Serie A and the Coppa Italia as well. So hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. If you did appreciate the tips as well, then please do leave a like. Much love to you all. Hope you had a fantastic week, and I will see you for the next episode of Who to Sign For very soon. Bye.